Good morning, world history students. Welcome to the first day with our new schedule. So it should be about 10 o'clock right now while you're starting this. I guess slightly after if you watch the CNN 10 first. But all right, today we are going to go over the next section in our West Between the World notes. We talked about the futile search for stability, saw that after World War I, there's a economic crash around the world, which is going to lead people towards not wanting to maintain their democratic rule and their capitalism because they lose so much faith in it due to the economy's downturn. So today we're going to do the rise of dictatorial regimes. So go ahead and pull up those notes. We're going to go over those together. Remember, if I'm going too fast, just go ahead and hit pause and type in the words and then hit play and we can get back to it. So to start off, by 1939, only France and Great Britain remained democratic. Now we're talking about in Europe. All other states fell to dictatorial forms of government. Remember, dictatorial regimes or governments are ones where we got one person making all of those decisions. It's a type of autocracy. A totalitarian state is a government that aims to control the political, economic, social, intellectual, and cultural lives of its citizens. So dictatorial does not mean totalitarian, but they often go hand in hand. So when it's a totalitarian, it's got the word total in it. So that means the government is trying to control every aspect of people's lives. Maybe your religion, your social life in some ways, the economics of it, the intellectual, what is it that people are going to be able to read and stuff like that. So it wants to control everything. So these regimes wanted to conquer the hearts and the minds of their subjects. So they want to make sure that they are in control of what their people are thinking and believing and following. And the leader determined the collective will of the masses. So the person who is at the top, whether that be Mussolini or Hitler or whoever it is that's leading, they want that person to be the person who's making the big decisions for everyone. And some of the little decisions too. Fascism. Again, this is another word that's related to those, but not the same thing. Fascism glorifies the state above the individual by emphasizing the need for a strong central government led by a dictator. Fascism has to do with when you hear a lot of people talk about the fatherland or the motherland, and you talk about the country coming first, the government coming first before the individual people. You know, in America, we like to exercise our individual freedoms. We like to celebrate the individual. Whereas in a more fascist state, you want people to celebrate the government and the people in charge rather than themselves. Benito Mussolini established the first European fascist movement in Italy. I think at the very end of this, I have a picture of him, so I might go ahead and jump to that just so you can see what he looks like. He stands out of the crowd. If you were to see him, you'd say, yeah, there he is. All right, so he's the guy here on the left. That's Benito Mussolini. So that's what he looks like in pretty much every picture. This guy on the right is actually a guy that I coached baseball with and knew pretty well. And I just happened to think that he looked a lot like Benito Mussolini. When I told him about this, he did not like the fact that I was comparing him to Mussolini. But nonetheless, I think he looks a lot like him. All right, let's get back to those notes. All right, where were we? Here we go. All right, so Mussolini, the first European fascist movement in Italy. All right. The middle-class fear of socialism, communism, and disorder made fascists increasingly attractive to many people. So we talked about towards the end of World War One, there were all these socialistic or communistic movements that middle class Europeans felt really threatened by. And so they were very anti socialism and communism. But then, as the economy just crashes and makes this downturn, people lose their faith in democracy and capitalism as well. So that doesn't leave a lot of options left. But what it did leave was this idea of these dictators coming in and having complete control of things, coming in saying, if you give me your faith, if you give me your trust, if you let me make all of your decisions and all the governmental decisions, then I will pull you from this poverty and I will make things better in our country. And that was attractive to a lot of people because of how poor their situations were at the time. So Mussolini created a secret police force, the OVRA, or OVRA, to watch citizens' political activities and enforce government policies. So a lot of people equate fascist movements to uh, these types of police forces where they're keeping people from having other political opinions that would go against the ruler's opinions. In 1922, Lenin and the communists formally created a new state called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. At Lenin's death, Leon Trotsky wanted to launch Russia on a path of rapid industrialization and to spread communism abroad. So now we're talking about Russia, which is going to turn into our Soviet Union. Another group wanted to focus on building a socialist state in Russia. Party General Secretary Joseph Stalin gained complete control of the Communist Party. Hashtag Go Zach, because that is who Zach had in his greatest leader of all time competition. A number of governments in Western Europe were not totalitarian, but were authoritarian. So different type of ruling with a strong fist and having this idea of authority. General Francisco Franco led Spanish military forces in a revolt against the democratic government in 1936, and after a 3-year civil war, established a totalitarian regime. So Spain is not one we talk about nearly as much, but there was just as much influence there in all this dictatorial regimes. All right, we are going to stop there for today. We'll do the next set of notes probably on Thursday. I hope this new schedule works well for you guys. Let me know. I think a lot of you said that these kinds of notes worked pretty well for you last time. If you guys have any feedback, feel free to let me know. Don't know if you could hear my background music. Here we go. All right. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Miss you. See you guys.